Oscar Wright, or Ask Oscar, is a local real estate agent with RX Real Estate. She specializes in helping people buy and sell the American dream in the Inland Empire. Next time you think of buying or selling, ask Oscar.
Thank you. All right, so first things first, never look at a home until you know your numbers. You gotta know what your payment is, your interest, you gotta know everything. Because if you call us up and you show a house, why would you fall in love with a house you might not be able to afford? So always start with Roger. Always, always, always. Because then when you walk into a house, I can say, this payment is $2,000, that payment is $2,200. So now you quantify the difference. Oh, I see what I get for $200 more. So everything's about quantifying. Buying a house is very emotional. So we gotta try to get it as much as possible. And we do that with numbers, okay? So assuming Roger says you're good, you're golden, you're ready, we know your interest rate, you know your payment, then the next step is to find out the why, the where. Meaning, why are you buying today and where are you buying, okay? Now, before we get to that, we're gonna go through this, how to interview a realtor. Most people don't ever think of interviewing a realtor, which you think is the dumbest thing in the world, because at the end of the day, they're helping us purchase the most expensive thing we're ever going to do, right? So there is a difference between an agent and a realtor. Rod, you know the difference? You know the difference.
Yeah. Agent is someone who's not affiliated with the association. A realtor is part of an association. They have the super key, and they are a high-level professional in the real estate industry.
Exactly. So an agent and a realtor are both licensed to help people buy and sell in the state of California. A realtor belongs to the National Association of Realtors. We are also held to an ethics clause. So I can legally do everything right and ethically do something wrong and still get in trouble. If I'm an agent, you can't hold me to ethics because I'm not part of NAR. No. So the first thing I always ask people is, you need to ask yourself, why wouldn't you want to do business with somebody who isn't willing to take ethics seriously? So always ask, are you an agent or are you a realtor? Okay. Big difference, okay? Experience versus years. A lot of people say, well, you know, my best friend has a friend who has a friend who has a neighbor who has a friend who's going to let me, who's an agent who's going to show me houses. And that's good. The difference is what's your level of experience. I don't have a problem with people doing it part-time. I would never do it part-time. But at the end of the day, it's their experience. Because Roger will tell you, every escrow, which means you've made an offer and you're buying it, has an issue. We always have issues. You have an inspector, an appraiser, a lender, you have insurance, you have the other agent, you have the seller. You have 7 to 8 parties involved in your transaction. If one of them screws up, it affects everybody. So we're problem solvers, and that's where the experience comes in. So where my value comes in, where our value comes in, is when it gets challenging. Roger calls me up 3 days ago and tells me we have a buyer who's buying a house. The appraisal came in 5,000 below. So that means we have to drop the house. So now I have to deal with the seller and be like, hey, guess what? Your house isn't worth what we thought it was. That's an issue, but it has to be addressed, okay? Everyone knows a realtor, but knowing is not enough. Again, we all know realtors. There's 500,000 of us in the state of California. So everybody knows one. Everybody knows an agent. So that's why you interview, ask them, you do this full-time, you do this part-time. Tell me your levels of experiences. And then education is the key to the process. This whole process, what you're doing right now, I wish everybody would do. Because the more educated you are, the easier this goes. The less questions you have, the better you sleep at night, okay? Okay, what to expect in a home buying process. We already talked about the qualification, so I'm not even gonna talk about that. What are your goals? The goal is to buy a home, right? But why? And the reason that's important to us is because when something happens and you can't buy the house you wanted, and you tell them what's the first thing that home buyers want to do? They want to quit. We can make 5 offers and none of them gets accepted. You can't find your home. No matter how hard you try, you just can't get an escrow. People get frustrated. And they say, you know what, I'm going to take a break. Well, guess what? A break means they're going to give up. So if I know what your goal is, I can say, no, you wanted to buy a house because you wanted this, and that, and therefore so you're giving up on your goals. So we hold you accountable to your own goals. So that's why the goals are really important to us. Then we start the home search process. We don't dictate what houses are on the market. We don't dictate the condition. We don't dictate any of that. My job is to take what you're looking for, find it in the MLS, and then go show you those houses. We don't tell you what to buy. We don't tell you how to buy it. What we do is we sit back and we look for things that will affect you. So as you're walking through the house, I'm gonna see, is there leaks in the roof? Is there broken windows? That's not, the appraisal is not gonna pass, because when Roger sends the appraiser out, they're gonna check for safety things, and that's what I'm checking for. The other thing I check for is neighborhood. I mean,
Okay,
to
yeah,
begin
that's
with,
it.
if I pull up and I see there's more cars than people, then it's probably not the best neighborhood in the world. And so but that's as far as we go. After that, you make a decision what you're going to buy.
Yeah.
We're just there to make sure that you're taken care of legally and you don't buy a bad investment. So the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good, buying a home is the best thing you could do. The bad, it sucks. The process is not easy. The ugly is that there's no way for us to tell you how long it's going to take. It could take 30 days. It could take 6 months, depending on where you buy, what you're looking for. You can do everything right and still fall out of escrow because of an appraisal issue, an insurance issue, whatever it may be. So that's the part. But the key is you just don't give up. All right. How to avoid real estate fraud. So, what a realtor can and cannot do. Do you know how much you pay us to look at houses? Do you have it? What do you think? What do you think you would pay?
I think you probably, I think it changes from each sale to sale, depending.
So if I
whether you- how
said,
much.
so if I told you, hey, if I showed you a house today, and it was in your price range, it was perfect, and I told you, give me for $4,000, I'll get you an escrow. Just give me a check. Right? Does that sound reasonable?
For you, I suppose. I mean, you do a lot of work.
Well, here's the answer. You don't pay me anything. You never give me $1, ever. The sellers pay all the commission to the agents. The only thing you worry about is Roger, is making sure the loan is good, and the appraisal and the inspection are the two things. You never give us $1,
Oh, so that's
ever. Buyers do not pay commissions.
Okay.
So if an agent or a realtor ever said, no, just cut me a check directly, run.
No. Okay.
So yeah, that's a way of fraud. So
Uh-huh.
there's a lot of people don't know, so people take advantage of the
Yeah,
situation.
yeah.
Yeah, so I would have said, Paco, I love this house, make an offer, give me $3,000, I'll submit the offer right now. Boom, there it is. You would have never known. Never pay me a penny. Okay? So we have a fiduciary obligation to you to make sure you're legally protected, but you don't pay us. The other ones pay us. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, common mistakes first-time buyers make. The common mistake is to fall in love with a house you can't afford. That's why we start with the numbers. The second mistake is that once you start the process, you get so emotional that the minute there's a problem, you're like, I can't handle this, and let's move on. The only time we will tell you to move on is if there's a big issue that can't be addressed. Every problem has a solution. Every problem has a solution. From the lending side to everything. But sometimes the solution is not good enough. If there's a leak in the roof, and we know the roof has to be replaced, and we ask the seller to replace it, and he says, nope, I'm not going to replace it, you have to buy it as is, and I know that roof has $10,000 to fix, and you don't have that money, no matter how much you love that house, I'm going to say, we need to move on. And that's where we take care of you, making sure that doesn't happen. That's the emotional side of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. You know, that would be one of my questions. You know, like when you're buying a house, well, how do you know that, you know, or how can you protect yourself that the next year you won't have to change the whole roof? And like you said, spend $10,000-$15,000 more.
And so during the process, when you get an escrow, one of the things you're going to do is it's optional. Is you do an inspect. You pay for an inspector to go out there. It's optional. You don't have to do it. But I'd rather have you pay $300 and know everything with the property, good, bad, and ugly,
Oh, definitely.
than not pay it and then find out later there's something wrong.
That's what $300 was.
It's worth the best insurance policy you can get. And so, and now, every house has something. No house is perfect. They're always going to find something. But we want major things. Plumbing, electrical, roof, foundation.
Yeah.
If it has a pool, does the pool has a leak? That kind of stuff. The thing that's going to cost you a lot of money. Houses, you got to maintain them. They cost money.
Oh, definitely.
But it's the big things, right? All right. Emotional but exciting. So when Oscar goes out and starts showing you houses, you're going to start getting excited. It's going to be awesome. It's our job to be the unemotional party of it. It's just as a matter of fact. We manage expectations. What I mean by that is Your expectation could be up here, I have to bring it down. So let's say we show you houses in a neighborhood, and you're like, I would like this neighborhood. You can't afford it. Or you can afford it, but you've already told us you don't want that payment to be that high.
Yeah.
So then at that point, it's the expectation. Fine, you wanna go there, fine. But the expectation is you're paying more money. You need to understand that.
Yeah.
The expectations of what it's like to go through the process of, okay, if we make an offer and they accept it, that's when the work really starts. Looking at houses and making offers, actually, that's the easy part.
Okay.
Once it's in escrow, then the loan starts. That's when Roger is gonna verify your job. They're gonna verify your everything.
Yeah.
That's where ours start, because now you're gonna get a bunch of stuff. The seller has to give you full disclosure of the house. Was there any floods in the last 5 years?
Okay.
Was there a fire? Did anybody die in it? There's a bunch of
All right,
things.
so that's good, because I would never think of asking those questions, or, you know.
They have to give us what's called a disclosure. Was it painted in the last year? Why was it painted? Are they covering something up?
Okay.
So they give us all this information. So on my end, we're verifying that the property is good. Roger on his end is verifying A, that you're good, and B, with the appraisal, we're verifying that the house is worth what it's worth. Just because you make an offer for $250 doesn't mean you're gonna get it for $250. If the appraisal comes back at $240, we have an issue, because now somebody's gotta drop the price $10,000. Yeah. So there's checks and balances through the whole thing, and one of them is the inspection. The biggest thing is 17 days. From the day you open escrow to 17 days is when we pretty much our window to make sure we want the house. We have everything. We have the disclosures, we have the appraisal, we have the inspection, we have now everything. At that point, they're gonna send me a document that's called removal contingencies, which pretty much says, I'm gonna continue and I'm gonna buy it.